like I said, we're going to skip down to the defense. This show cannot be completely negative. We do need a reprieve.
No.
I think, especially given what you and I have talked about both on the show and in our private text back and forth the last couple of weeks, we have to ask now, is this defense, and maybe even defensive coordinator Ejiro Evero, did we see some growth on Monday night?
I mean, I think we did see a little bit more man at times, which I think that's partly all we're asking for, right? And honestly, playing zone against a team like the 49ers, considering like what they are working with, didn't bother me quite as much anyways, because you were like, okay, well, but I don't know. I mean, and they were able to get pressure. They were able to make plays. Like they forced all these turnovers. And like, I do not genuinely remember the last time that you could look at the defense and the way they played in a high profile game and go, well, they can be mad at the offense now. Like almost, it just has not happened in a while. And I just feel like they should be proud of. I feel like a lot of the younger pieces we're really seeing develop and get better. So that speaks to Evero as well. You would think, at least not to a degree. Like you're seeing a lot of these young guys come along. Uman Mielen made a nice play. Like, so I think like things are clearly going much better there than I even expected. So yeah. I'm happy with them overall, and I think that they should get kudos, because like when you said the Panthers played like garbage, I almost wanted to be like, well, most of them.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you mentioned Uman Mielen. He's the one that punches that ball out. That boy.
That we somehow didn't get.
Oh my God. And like on the replay, you totally see how Marion gets the ball ripped away from him. He is rolling as he is trying to secure it. But it was just the absolute picture of the frustration of last night's game. It's not just Uman Mielen that had that great punch. Like guys that Evero believes in that are not headliners. A'Shawn Robinson had some great plays right at the line of scrimmage last night as well. Where I think the playing zone against the 49ers hurt us. And it wasn't top to bottom, but you go back and you look at Jennings' touchdown drag of what, 3 different 49ers into the end zone. Like all you can do against a guy that is that much stronger than your defensive back, all you can do is keep him from getting the ball. Like you just cannot let the ball get into his hands. You got to make it tougher than that. Kittle had a couple of those moments last night as well. I'm not going to complain though, because you're right. This unit created takeaways. We are going to have to talk about, depending on how healthy he is, we're going to have to talk about if J.C. Horton could be a unanimous All-Pro amongst cornerbacks this season.
He's had exactly, like, look, am I watching snap to snap, like, with the critical eye of, like, a defensive veteran? Of course not. But I will tell you that, like, I have seen him have one bad game, and it was last week, and they won. So, like, I every other game, at least once a game, I am noticing that he's keeping his guy on lock. And, like, I just love the way he's playing. You can see now why no one ever throws at him. Like Brock Purdy, he must have been like, wow, this is a pleasant surprise.
So that second interception, he completely undercut the route. And I don't know if Purdy didn't see him, if Purdy misjudged how far away he was from the ball. But that was like textbook, take the ball away, perfect timing move by J.C. Horn.
You tell me if I'm wrong. Like, maybe I don't know enough about what's actually going on in the field to know if this is true or not. But it seems like they're trying, at least in this game, it seems like they were, because I think they pointed this out on the broadcast as well. They weren't trying to make it obvious where J.C. Horn was going to be in that zone either. And so I think it's not like Brock Purdy was like, well, J.C. Horn will be here. I'm fine to throw it there. I think that they were sort of trying to disguise where J.C. Horn was going to be, which I also thought, like, I thought if that's what they were doing, that is smart, because we have seen teams, even in the zone, just throw where J.C. Horn isn't.
Right. I think they've been doing this all season, and the reason it stands out this week is this is the first week that you don't notice it because the other team took advantage, right? Like, think about the day George Pickens had in the Dallas game. All of it was when Mike Jackson was lined up on him, not J.C. Horn, because they moved the guys around the entire time. But hats off to Mike Jackson. Like, I have been complaining about him all year long. I think that is an easy upgrade the team can make. And that was about as athletic a play as I've seen a DB have for the Panthers.
It's insane. Yeah. And like he's had some almost picks this year that you were like, bro, but that one was like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, this is a loss, so I don't know that it totally makes up for that one that was just a terrible drop that would have put away was that the Miami game? No, that was the Green Bay game. I don't know that it makes up for that necessarily, but that was a like, oh, this is why he keeps the job kind of thing.
Right. I mean, I think like a lot of people, I don't really know how I feel about him that much one way or the other. I remember feeling like when he was playing last year that seemed like a bad time.
Right.
I felt that way before. Like I felt that way when Coker first started playing, and look at, Coker's showed me. So like, I'm happy to say I'm wrong when I know I'm wrong. A lot of guys are going to look worse than JC Horn next to JC, like playing opposite JC Horn. Yeah. So I do try to give a little bit of grace there. And I do think some of the younger guys we've seen in the secondary have like played better than I would have thought, like Shaw Smith-Wade and like, some of the other guys. You're like, wow, okay, like they're playing okay. It's not great. And you know they're going to make their mistakes because they're only so good. But like, it is just nice to see overall like better play from everyone on the defense this season. And I was glad that they at least the defense could get its flowers last night, like on a national stage of like how much better they've gotten this year. And like, yes, we all understand the 49ers offense isn't great. It's even with or without Brock. With or without Brock Purdy. I started calling him Brock. You were showing how old I am. but like, we know that it's not like that offense is like dynamite or anything, but like I said, we've seen the Panthers struggle against sucky offenses for the last few years now. So like, it was really nice to see like how far these guys have come. And I feel genuinely good about that side of the ball overall. Like, and they may change coordinators. We'll see what happens at the end of the year. Like, who knows? But for the most part, that's why I've tried to be a little more patient on Evero, because it's like, I really don't think it's,
Well, look, now after they had this game where even with the loss, there's still so much positive to point out. Yeah. Now we enter this realization, or not realization, I think we all know this about football, this reality where sometimes there's just nothing you can do. I mean, linebacker, we've talked so much about what a mass unit the offensive line is. Let's talk about the interior linebackers, because Bam Martin-Scott just came back 2 weeks ago. Both of the starters are out, Christian Roseboom and Trevin Wallace. And now add Sherlis to this, who went down with what they believe is a concussion. Between the way the NFL handles concussions and, admittedly not being smart enough to say they are mishandling them or handling them perfectly, I don't know what to expect from a guy when he goes out with a concussion. I don't know whether it's crazy to come back next week or not.
I don't know either, and like that, to me, that almost makes the defensive performance more impressive, like considering they were down 2 linebacker starters and they played that well.
Well, and I think you can trace San Francisco starting to be able to take advantage to the other unit that was hit hard by injuries, the defensive backs. I mean, when JC Horn goes down, literally 2 plays later, Corey Thornton goes down, and they do this like close-up shot of Shaw Smith-Wade, who has to move from the nickel corner to one of the main corners, and he looks legitimately freaked out by the assignment.
Well, that's not like, I do know enough about football to know that's not an easy transition to make. Like, nickel is a very specific role within the defense, and so like you're essentially,
it's a role that in recent years teams have started filling with safeties as opposed to corners.
Yep. And so like but it's a whole different set of things that you need to be worrying about. And so for him, I that was relatable, because I'm sure I would have felt the same way. Like, oh no, I did not prepare for this one.
I don't know if it is the 17-game season and the lack of what these guys got used to as a full preseason or what, but boy, the Panthers have just been decimated this year. And I'm sure if we did this show about, name any half dozen other teams, we would be saying the same thing. Football is a violent sport. But as you are trying to pull yourself up from the muck and mire of the last 2 and 3 seasons, like bodies falling and big name, probably your best player this season, not being available it's hard to it's hard to accept. It's just part of the game, but that's what it is.
Are Panthers are on turf, right?
I have no idea.
I'm not sure either anymore.
I
always tend to blame turf, even though
I'm pretty sure San Francisco is not what we would traditionally think of as turf, but it's not like straight grass, right? It's some sort of like hybrid synthetic.
I'm not one of the grass people.
Yeah,
Sounds weird. I'm not one of the grass people.
I'm not either, but I tend to. Which that's a great way to defend yourself from your parents finding drugs. Mother, father, I am not one of the grass people. I seem to recall Levi Stadium having some sort of like technological marble.
I don't know. Either way, like I know that it's like putting in turf. That seems like something David Tepper would do, but maybe
sure.
I'm not sure.
People are going to get their mud, their shoes all over it. Why put in grass?
I don't know, or maybe it's just bad luck. Like maybe it's just football is dangerous. Like and guys get hurt. Honestly, yeah. I mean, I've been impressed with them having the depth to this point, but like to lose Horn is too costly of something to overcome. I think.
I mean, to lose Horn and his backup is like, how do you even plan for next week?